You're listening to the Am Writing Fantasy podcast. In today's publishing landscape, you can reach fans all over the world. Query letters are a thing of the past. You don't even need a literary agent. There is nothing standing in the way of making a living from writing. Join two best-selling authors who have self-published more than 20 books between them. Now, on to the show with your hosts, Autumn Burt and Jesper Schmidt.
Hello, I am Jesper.
And I'm Autumn.
This is episode 72 of the Am Writing Fantasy podcast, and the topic of today's episode is book launches. And Autumn and I are going to share how we handle the launches of our books, and you can basically feel free to copy as many of the steps as you want when we go through this.
And definitely some tips on things I think we've tried in the past that I don't know if they're quite worth the effort anymore, but we'll get to those.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and I guess we could also say that there is a ton of ways you can do book launches, and we've put our list together based on all kinds of things that we've done throughout the years, and this is sort of the master list that we arrived at. But yeah, we'll cover that step by step in a bit here.
Absolutely. So how are things over on your side of the Atlantic?
Well, to be honest, I feel a bit tired today because this morning was the first morning in quite a while where I had to get up early to take the kids to school.
Oh, that's right.
Because they've been, like everybody else, in self-quarantine for a long while now. But here in Denmark, things are slowly starting to return to normal. Well, I guess normal in quotation marks there, but the COVID-19 pandemic locked everything down, as we all know by now. But we've started lifting it slightly here, so it happens in stages here in Denmark. And one of the first stages is to get kids back to school so that parents can start working again. And well, actually, our kids were supposed to go back to school a week ago, but we kept them at home last week because first of all, we as parents felt that it was a bit soon that they began opening things up again. And we also had a conversation with the kids at the lunch table last week and asked them how they felt about it. And they both said that they did not quite feel safe. So we decided together with them that they would stay home another week. So that's what we did. So they started today while their friends started a week ago.
That's some peer pressure. So they knew their friends were back, and as everything waited a week and nothing blew up, I guess it's good that they decided they felt safe enough to go back to school.
Well, yeah. Well, we asked them over the weekend how they felt about it, and they both said, "Well, the youngest said, yeah, I'm fine. I want to go back." But the oldest, it was more like, "Yeah, I'm still not quite feel comfortable with it." But on the other hand, and we talked to him and sort of had a conversation around how you probably never feel entirely comfortable because you don't know what it is, right?
Right.
You don't know what's going to happen when you get there and all those things. So. But they went to school today, and when I picked them up, they were both really happy that they went, and so everything went well. But actually, also I wanted to. Speaking of coronavirus, right? These days, I would really, really, really prefer to stay far, far away from hospitals. But unfortunately, I actually had to take my younger son there the other day.
Oh no!
Yeah.
What happened?
He was driving his scooter outside, and he basically he fell and landed with his entire body weight on his elbow.
Oh.
So we were quite worried that his arm was broken.
Oh no!
So we had to go to the hospital in the middle of these coronavirus days, which I really would like not to do. Yeah, and I guess they were really busy there because we spent the entire evening there. Something like 3-4 hours to get his shoulder or elbow, X-rayed and looked over. But luckily enough, it was not broken. And
Sprained.
this morning, a couple of days later, he as I said, he went to school. He had no pains.
Oh, good.
And so everything seems okay now. But
goodness,
it's been a bit of a interesting week.
That's crazy. Well, I'm glad he's fine. That's not they keep saying now is not the time to do something stupid and get yourself hurt. So, well, I mean, he's a kid,
No,
so what do you
exactly.
expect?
Really don't want to go to the hospital, but what can you do?
No, very true.
Yeah. And how is everything on your side?
Good. I finished my built-in storage benches. We have cushions on order. And so the major goals and major building projects of my little cabin are done. And I wanted to finish it up over the weekend, and then it was going to be, obviously we were working on a character development course. I was going to do some computer stuff, but I was going to be I wanted to have that moment where you just stop and the sun shines on the window and you have that, life is, it's it is done. 2.5 months of building and getting settled, and I can finally put stuff away and get rid of the sawdust on the floor where I'm also living and so sheltering in place. And
right.
Instead, it was probably the more realistic version of 2.5 months of building and living and sheltering and pandemic, and I want a nap. And so
I can see why.
Yeah, I think it finally hit me, and I feel very content and kind of calm, which is still lovely. I don't feel like there's this huge pressure to go, I got to do something to show results, but I definitely still have that kind of I'm not in slow mode, but I'm not in let's get stuff done. I'm not under total drive. I'm kind of sitting back on my heels going, yeah, I could have a beer. That's where I'm at. But I think as I recover and, speaking every time I used, we have skill saws and compound miters and all these things we've been using and jigsaws. And every time I go to cut something,
right.
I always have that moment of, be careful, don't do something stupid. You don't want to go to the hospital now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so I would have those moments, but I have my right knuckle has been a little bit sore, and I actually have a brace on my left arm because I have a little bit of a tennis elbow going on from something, and my right shoulder hurts. It's I joke, I can't open the door with my right arm, and I can't pick up my teacup with the left arm. I'm no. Once all that heals, because I did go through a birthday. I'm a year older officially, so I'm no longer a spring chicken. Once my body catches up, yes, I would love to be a year younger. Once everything catches up and I feel a little bit better and I can just enjoy being very physically fit, I will probably just be a little bit happier. And then I'll be so excited. I'll have my moment in the sun of, yes, I'll sit up on my picnic table by the stream and the waterfall, and I'll be this is good. This is good. But right now, I'm give me a blankie.
It's good that you got all the building stuff done. You don't want me in charge of building anything unless it's world building. But I can build a world, but I cannot build a cabin.
A week on the internet with the AmWritingFantasy podcast.
So there was quite a few good posts in the Facebook group over these past few days. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, my husband recently pointed out, he's I do this every day. He's been doing a climate log and actually weather forecasting every day and observations about the woods. He's and you don't even go look at it. I'm no, because it's on Facebook. I have been on a Facebook diet, not on purpose, just I had to cut something out for a little bit, and I cut that out.
Right.
I appreciate you and taking care of the group, because I know it would be a dead plant if it was in my household right now alone.
Luke is good at taking care of things as well.
He is. He's super great.
No, but there was quite a few good. I just picked a few here just to mention because I thought they were really good. So Linda posted in the Facebook group a picture of the 4 horsemen of procrastination. I thought that was so
nice. That's great.
Yeah, and there was also Jason. He finished his first draft of nearly 150,000 words.
Oh, go Jason! We've been
well
following
done.
his progress forever. I missed that. I have to go find his post now and say congratulations.
Yeah, it's so well done. So yeah, we just wanted to call you out, Jason. Thank and congratulating you on that. And we also had Tony join quite recently. I think it was only like 2-3 days ago since I let her in. Well, of course, when you listen to this, we're pre-recording it in advance. So you've been part of the group for a while by the time you listen to this, Tony. But she showed some interest in creating a shared world.
Wow.
So she was asking if somebody was interested in that. So that was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and quite similar as well. Alexandros, he was looking for a co-author.
Oh.
So that was also quite nice. And I don't know, maybe he should check out episode 58 of the podcast, because we actually talked about how to find a co-author or a writing partner in that episode. So that was 58. But a lot of good, interesting conversations happening in the Facebook group. So yeah, dear listener, if you haven't checked it out already, now is your chance. So just search for AmWritingFantasy in the group section of Facebook, and you will find us.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get back into it because it's always so dynamic and interesting. It's just crazy to hear what's been going on. And like, I haven't been on for a few days. I swear it's not been a full week. So that's just fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did like the fact, though, that at least people do track us down occasionally if they're outside of Facebook. But I know Audrey sent us an email. She just recently joined the writing tip list, and she had said that her biggest hurdle was in finishing a novella. And she was writing by inspiration, and we got into a good conversation, emailing back and forth about that, about, how writing, basically, I just read this great metaphor where writing is a muscle. It's sort of like, it's something you need to work on every day, not just because it's something you should work on every day. You build your skill. It's like muscle memory. You build your stamina. So I just thought, yeah, that's my new metaphor and my new kick in the butt too. My writing, my physical construction is done. So now I got to get back to word construction.
Yeah, and it's important to keep doing it. I mean, and especially the part about when you don't really feel like writing that, but you still put the butt in the chair and get it done, right? Because you can always edit it later, but just those thing about because there's some habit stuff in this as well.
Oh, yes.
If you can train yourself into the habit of, this is what I do. Even if it's just like 20 minutes or 15 minutes early in the morning before you go off to the day job or whatever, but getting into a habit of doing it, that really helps in the long run.
Definitely.
And on to today's topic.
So, book launches. This is something that a lot of people talk about quite often.
Oh, yes. Well, they're important. I know, and I think a lot of people take two views of book launches. And the one is that it is a life or death of a book. You need to launch big and launch loud and get a ton of sales, and that's how you do it. And then I think there's other people who think it's a marathon and you launch the book and it should be celebrated because that is a big deal. But that is not the end by far of finishing a book. You need to do a lot of marketing plans after that. But the book launch is kind of like the first big marketing plan.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, of course, it's always nice if you can get a good book launch going, so that you get an influx of cash there when you release a new book. That's of course nice.
Yes.
But I and as well, what you often hear is all the stories about the amazing book launches of, I don't know what, 50K or 100K or whatever it is, people. I mean, yeah, fine. But I really don't think that that's a good way of looking at it. It's good to launch the book well. And of course, you should put thought into it and do the best that you can. But it is really not, it's not the end all if the launch isn't the best one it can be.
No, but it is exciting if it does well enough and you get on the hot new release list on Amazon or even a number one's bestseller. Those are exciting goals, but
absolutely,
just because you don't get one doesn't mean your book is not going to do well or sell a ton over its lifetime.
No. So basically, as I set up at the top of this episode, we've put together a launch process that we basically more or less use for launching all of our books, and that's what we wanted to share here with the listeners today. We sometimes tweak a few of the steps here and there a bit, and of course, I think that should be the method of this episode as well, so that basically people listening take from it what you can and what you want, and ignore the rest, right? Maybe we're going to mention a few things here and there that inspires you to do something that you hadn't thought about, and if we do that, then I think that's success enough for this episode.
That sounds good to me, and a good caveat of this is how we're sharing.
Yeah, so basically the way we do it is that we have our process divided into the big book launch starting 12 weeks ahead of launch and stopping 5 weeks after launch.
Yeah,
so
that'll be a fun one to explain.
A long time.
Yes. It'll be, I think there's probably a few people scratching their head saying, but it's a book launch. Why do you have something, you're doing something about your book launch 5 weeks later? So this will be a fun one.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think it'll make sense once we go through all these different phases, and probably the easiest way to do this, to also keep some structure in the conversation, would be to take them by weeks. So basically saying, okay, a block, first block being 12 weeks ahead of launch, do this and do that. 10 weeks ahead of launch, do this and do that, and so forth. And then we move down the list until we get all the way down to 5 weeks after launch.
That seems fair.
So I think that'll keep some structure in place and framework around the conversation today.
Sounds good. So yes, all right, 12 weeks prior to launch. You want to start us off?
Yes. So when we are 12 weeks before the launch, you still have quite some good, time. You're well in advance here. So this is a good time to reach out to some relevant influencers. So these could be maybe bloggers or YouTubers or podcasters. But the main thing is that their audience needs to match your readers. So, for example, it would make no sense to reach out to us asking to be interviewed on the AmWritingFantasy podcast about a thriller book that you have coming out, for example. It makes no sense.
No.
Because this is not the audience. Also, the focus of this podcast is to talk about writing and marketing for authors. It's not for readers. So you need to keep that in mind and try to find some sort of blogger or YouTuber or podcaster or whatever it may be, whose normal content is aligned with what your readers are watching or listening to or whatever it may be. But at the same time, it's also not worth trying to get onto 100 different podcast shows or something like that. I would just start out by focus. Start by making a list of like 15 mid-range influencers, because the top influencers, it's impossible to get on their podcast without invitations, and the very low level ones, it might be very easy to get on the podcast, but on the other hand, you're not going to get much out of it because they are low range. So 15 mid-range influencers are pretty good to start with, and then you go from there. I think that's pretty good.
I think so too. And I think it's important to remember that even though you're reaching out to influencers, by 12 weeks prior, you should be, hopefully by now you've got your book cover. I like getting the book covers while I'm still writing. A lot of authors do now because, one, it's inspirational, but you can start sharing social posts, trying to build your audience and keeping them up to date. So 12 weeks out, you should have your book cover. And even if you're not sharing it, even if you're doing teasers, you should be doing some posts on social media. So generating, getting people interested, letting people know about your book, what's coming out, some of the world building, your characters. If you have a blog, these are things you should be doing right now to make sure that they are kind of getting in the vibe. I know I've recently said this to someone, that book launches used to be, publishers would need a year and a half to generate all the stuff and the excitement about launching a book. But I think just like readers are kind of expecting books to be like coming out every month, which is probably not possible. But there's also, everything's more of a flash in the pan, and I think the launch strategy, I think that's why we started at 12 weeks out, is because if you do it too soon, 6 months before you publish, people are maybe a little less enthusiastic. It's kind of good to start building up that energy, 3 months before you launch, because that's more the time frame to get enough people and your resources together and get people excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is also then at the time where you upload your book to the different online retailers, so like Amazon and wherever else you want to sell your book. And at this point, you're not, which will make sense in a moment, but at this point, you're not uploading the final version of the book. So this is like probably the edited version. I think at this point, that's at least what we do. So from our view, it is done, but it's not going to be the final version, but we'll get back to that.
Yes.
So you uploaded it there, and then there is a whole debate that one can have around, should you do pre-orders or should you not do pre-orders? And there are long debates and views about, is it better or worse for your Amazon author rankings if you do pre-orders or not, and all that. And basically, we sort of circumvent that whole conversation by saying, because we have a 12-week slow burning building anticipation process in place here, we are doing pre-orders.
Yes.
And basically what we're just saying is, I don't care if it hurts the author ranking doing pre-orders. Who cares? I don't. So we're just building a slow anticipation over 12 weeks. And hopefully once we get down the list here, you will see how all the stepping stones leads to some excitement.
Yes, and a big tip that I never thought about until, I don't know, it's been a year or so now, but I never thought of it. When you upload this draft version or nearly finished version, you don't have to upload your final cover. So if you are planning something like a cover reveal or something later, you can do a placeholder image of just about, it should be something. I have a
cover to come.
Yeah, it should be I have a little scrap one that looks like an old antique book cover. And so you can just do that with your title and upload that, so that if you do have a big cover reveal something later, you can upload your fake version, your holding version on Goodreads, on Amazon, and your distributors, Drafted Digital, Smashwords. So, keep that in mind. If you want to be clever and do a big reveal later, you don't have to have the final version revealed to the public quite yet.
Oh, that's such a good point. And just before I, also 12 weeks ahead of launch, I wanted to say a few words about email newsletter swaps. But just before I get there, before I forget, please, if you are reaching out to podcasters, speaking as a podcaster, could you please listen a bit to those people's episodes before you reach out to them? Understand what is this kind of show, and at least do a bit of your own research to find out, am I a good match for their audience and what they normally do? Because, for example, on our podcast here, we do not take pitches for people to come onto the podcast. We only invite people to come on. So once in a while, as you know, like about once a month, we'll have a guest on, but those are only people that we have contacted because we wanted to have a conversation with them. So sending pitches to people like us, and I'm just using us as an example here, but it's not going to work if you're trying to find 15 mid-range influencers and you want to get on their podcast and you never listen to even a single one of their episodes, and you don't understand that this is not how they maybe they don't even do interviews at all.
Right.
So you're just wasting your time, right? So please do that a bit of research before you start reaching out to people. It's so annoying getting emails from people who clearly don't know what the podcast is about, and then they're making pitches for something that makes absolutely no sense. It's so annoying.
That I totally agree. Even with the audience, somebody might look at ours like, oh, fantasy, I'm going to talk about a fantasy book, but we're targeting fantasy authors, not readers. So do make sure you're not wasting your time and effort bothering someone who you're not even the right target audience.
Yeah. Okay, so let me move on to newsletter swaps. So this is basically where you're reaching out to another author saying, okay, can you feature my book in your newsletter? And then I will feature your book in my newsletter. We talked about that on past episodes as well. here I have to say that for Autumn and myself, we don't really use email newsletter swaps. And the reason for that is when we are publishing our books here, that I don't like featuring another author's book in our email unless I've read it. I just don't feel comfortable with doing that. But if you do newsletter swaps, and if you do like to do that, then basically this 12 weeks prior to launch is a good time to get that organized. Find out who you want to do newsletter swaps with, and get yourself organized while you still have quite a while yet.
Yes, and there's a lot of good places. As in my private, my writing individually list, I have done them in the past. So there are good Facebook groups. There's Story Origins, which has a fantastic newsletter swap area. And BookFunnel, it's more for group giveaways, but sometimes you can find some swaps through there. So those are some good places to look. And keep it genre specific, same as looking at influencers.
Right. Good. So I think we can move on to the next bracket here, which is then 10 weeks ahead of launch.
Absolutely.
So...
And I was going to say, so we've already talked about reaching out to people, and one of the steps to reaching out, and I think we should have mentioned this sooner, but you could mention it here, is you should develop a media kit for your book. So it sounds so professional, but this is a great way of sending people. So if you're reaching out to influencers, especially, instead of sending them a bulk load of material, especially if you happen to have a website, put up media kit and have everything, some blurbs, some excerpts, some images, all the information, where it's going to be released. Is it going to be on sale? Are you going to have some reviews? Do you have some early reviews? Put all that on some websites or a download or something and be able to direct people to it. It'll save you so much time and money. Just do that and have it ready to go by the time you either start contacting people or definitely by 10 weeks out.
Yeah. And then this is also a good time once you are updating your website anyway. So put your book onto your website and make links to those pre-orders everywhere that you have the book for sale. And of course, use affiliate links.
Yes.
When you are on your own website, you are well within terms of service from, for example, Amazon, that you are allowed to take an Amazon affiliate link and put on your own website to your own book, so that if people buy your book through your own website, you are not only get the royalties from the book, but you're also getting affiliate income royalties. Yes. So there's no reason not to do that. So make sure that that's what you do on your website.
Yes, and a little tip there, Amazon's not the only one with affiliate links. Even Google has affiliate links now. So if you have books on Google Play...
Kobo as well.
Yes. So make sure you get them from each of your places, and it really will make a difference. And so as you're setting up all of this information, do a pre-order alert for BookBub. Anyway, this is a good time, make sure your book is up there in places where people are going to start seeing it and that they know that it's going to be alert. I'm on Smashwords and I can also do alerts there saying, hey, new book's coming. You could pre-order it. Let people know.
Yeah. And there's a few more things to set up as well here 10 weeks ahead of launch. So you should also get it onto... Well, I'm saying BookFunnel now. I guess you could use other things, but honestly, BookFunnel is just such a cheap and amazing service that there's no reason not to use it. So you get the book set up on BookFunnel. So this is basically going to be your ARC copy, or the ARC also means Advanced Readers copy. So this is basically the copy that you're going to ask a bunch of readers to read ahead of the actual launch. So we're going to come back to that in a minute.
Oh, yes.
But you upload that here to BookFunnel. And then you also add the book on Goodreads if you have a profile there.
Yes. Always a good idea.
Yeah, and I would also, at this point in time, I would also start booking promotional slots on different promotional sites for the launch week.
Yes.
Now that you are still ahead of time, so you should be able to snatch up those those time slots that you need.
And to me, this is a good reason to do the pre-order, is because by having a pre-order, you have a link and you can go ahead and book those promotions.
Yes.
If you're not doing a pre-order, you can't do that until the book is live. And it's just, you're scrambling to try to get any last minute slots. And there's only so many advertisers who will do something for a book launch where you have no reviews, and they're basically standing on other books you have out and your overall review as an author. So you want to make sure you got in with them as soon as you can. So 10 weeks out is a good time for that.
Yeah, indeed. So do we have more on this, or should we move on to 9 weeks ahead of launch then?
I think that's good at 10 weeks. Especially if you're building your media kit still, you got plenty to do.
Yeah. Well, nobody said that book launches should be easy.
No, you're running a publishing business and you're shrinking a whole 1.5 book launch into 3 months. You're going to be on your toes. You thought you were busy writing. Wait till you try to launch something.
Yeah. Well, there is more work in it than you might think. At least, in my view, if you want to do it right. But that's what we're going through here.
Yes.
So 9 weeks ahead of launch. So now, and this first one I'm going to mention, that this is not vital at all. It's completely optional, basically. But if you want, you can create a book trailer at this point, or some sort of video promoting the book. If it's not directly a book trailer, then it could be something else. It could be a video with some of the world building in it, or something related to the book. This is optional, but why I have it on here, it's not because book trailers or videos like this is not going to move a lot of book sales at all. But why I'm mentioning it is because it's quite nice to work with on Facebook ads, because you can then retarget when you can set Facebook to say, okay, everybody who watched at least 50% of this video, I want to retarget. And then you can use that as an audience once you get down to the day where the book goes live, and retarget all those people with, okay, the book is now out.
That's exciting. That's a good tip. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's quite a nice thing to do, and that's more the benefit of the book trailer than anything else. It's not the book trailer itself, but it goes without saying, obviously, if you want to do this, it has to look professional. Mm-hmm. If it's like a subpar video that you upload, nobody's gonna think it's interesting. Yeah. So there is that, and it's not easy to do. So
no,
but it's something to consider.
It is. I still want a book trailer for my own books and haven't done it yet because I really want something high end, no Ken Burns pictures panning to the left or right. I can't do it. So I actually
did one.
Yeah.
I did. It's on the AmWritingFantasy YouTube channel.
I have to go
so
look.
If anybody's interested, you can go on there. But this is like the do-it-yourself kind of book trailer. I think it's okay. It's not the best top quality professional stuff, but I think it's okay. But I'll leave it for listeners to judge, and you can let me know. Just tweet me or something once you've watched it and let me know what you think. But
okay.
But there is one day people can look see what it looks like if they want.
Yes. But okay, so it's still at 9 weeks prior to launch. I'm gonna go look at this now because I don't think I've seen it. So
you haven't?
I don't think so. I've got to go look. Anyway, as soon as we're off, now is the time. If you're going to do cover reveals or a book title reveal or anything big, it's time to make sure you're getting those scheduled at 9 weeks out. One of the things I will say that you might, book cover reveals, there used to be big Facebook parties and things like that, and they're okay. You'd gather a whole bunch of authors together and you'd maybe all give away free books, or you would do something, and there's still events like that, but they become, instead of like hundreds of people, they become a lot more cozy. Often you'll see almost like it's the authors you invited and just a few readers, even the big ones. So, if you narrow your sites down and you get maybe 20 or 30 readers, that's exciting. It's good enough, but you'll have to decide if it's worth it. And I'd almost say the same thing, booking blog tours. This is something you would do about now. And it's sort of the same thing. Blogs are kind of fading. Its video is much more important. So if you had to choose between like a cover reveal party, book tours, or approaching influencers, go for the influencers. Go for the video, the podcast format over going on Facebook and having something going on there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think as well for the cover reveal, indeed, I mean, if you go back and read some old blog posts on the internet and whatnot, you will see that it's being hyped a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think it worked quite well as a strategy a while back. But I don't think you get not getting much mileage from cover reveals today. But the reason that we still do the cover reveal at this point in time, 9 weeks out, is basically only because it gives you another excuse to email your readers about the book coming out. Yes. I mean, there's a limit to how many times you can email them to say, hey, the book is coming out. Now it's 9 weeks, and now it's 8 weeks, and now it's 7 weeks. It gets boring after a while. So this just gives you an excuse to email them again and remind them that the book is coming out. And then you give them the cover as a cover reveal in that email. That's basically all I mean, you can post it on social media as well. Why not? Yeah. While you're at it.
That's what I was going to say. It's always it's another reason to do a good blog post or a post on social media and Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. So do that, but it's not that the cover reveal itself will all of a sudden turn into a load of pre-orders or something like. Not at all. But it's just a small building block in the building anticipation castle that we're creating here.
Yes, and don't forget though, if you do the cover reveal and you put up a temporary holding spot for your book on Amazon, to go and put up your real cover before it's too long.
That might be a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, but this is also then 9 weeks out is also the time where I would then set up this ARC team. So basically your advanced readers team. And this is pretty simple in the sense that you send out an email to your email list and you explain to them that you're looking for ARC team members. And make sure that they understand what that means in the sense of what is it that you're expecting from them. So you're going to give them a free book of this upcoming novel. And you're going to give them the opportunity to read it for free. And it's been through your editor already. So it's from your point of view, it's the final version. Yes. But we all know how typos keep getting past everybody. Yes. So their job in return for getting to read this book for free, their job is then to let you know every time they see a typo or if something or as well is unclear in the explanations or in the text or whatever, then they should also let you know. But make sure that they understand that this is what they need to do. And also let them know by what date you need the feedback.
And that is not even their most important role. That's an important role, but really the key wonderful thing about having this ARC team comes on launch day, but that is part of the agreement.
Yes, we're gonna come back to that.
Exactly, we'll save that for launch day.
Yeah. Okay, so that was 9 weeks done. So now we move into 7 weeks ahead of launch.
Yeah.
So you can see sometimes we're skipping 2 weeks there. It's not an error. It's on purpose. It's just because then you have enough time to go through all these steps, right? So it's not because we can't we do math. Well, we probably can't do that either. But that's not the reason.
That's because we figured you needed a break for week 8. And you probably had enough homework to catch up on to get ready for week 7.
Yeah, exactly. So 7 weeks ahead of launch, there's not too much here, to be honest.
It's really getting in touch with your ARC team, making sure that everyone is up to speed, that they have gotten the book if you've sent it out by now. It's always a toss-up. It depends on how long your book is. You want it to be pretty close to your launch day that they're finishing it, but you don't want it. You don't want them to have finished it a month before, and then by the time launch day comes, they're like, oh, right, I'm supposed to do something else. You want them to be engaged and excited. So I know when I do mine, send out my launch team book, it's within the last month. So it might be a little early to send it out now, but it depends on your book and who you have recruited, and also how many people you have recruited. It's good to have enough people. There's nothing wrong with having 100 people who want to read your book and will help you out on launch day, but you also have to figure, is that too many? You have to decide what you need for your group.
Yeah, I think that part depends a lot on what it is that you're asking for. If you're asking for content feedback, then hundreds of people is too much,
Oh,
right?
yes.
It's going to take you forever to go through all that content. But I mean, I don't mind when we send it out because the only thing we are asking for is typos, for them to tell us the typos. So I don't mind giving out 200 free art copies. I don't mind at all. If 200 people can look through for and try to hunt for typos, they're gonna catch probably 90%, 99% of the errors that are still there, and then you should be pretty clean after that. So, but the other thing as well that I wanted to mention by reaching out to your ARC team here is, again, you're hunting for a bit of content that you can use in emails to your readers again. So the ARC team members probably haven't read the entire book by now, but at least they've been partly through it at this point. They should, at least. So you can ask them to share some of their favorite quotes from so far with you, because those quotes then again gives you an excuse to email your readers again, reminding them that the book is coming and giving them some of the quotes. And you can basically tell them that these are the favorite quotes from the advanced reader team that they picked out for you. Just tell them where it came from, that it's not something you pulled out. And because it also makes it more, it humanizes the process, right? It's not like, oh, I picked the 10 quotes so I could send them to you. But it's rather like, no, I had a conversation with the ARC team. They liked these. So I just wanted to pass them on to you guys as well, right? So that makes sense. And of course, make sure to provide the link to the pre-order in that email as well. So those who haven't picked up the book yet can do so. And you can repeat the whole process on social media as well, of course.
Absolutely. And also, a good tip too is if this is a book in a series, it doesn't hurt to make sure that you have any of the previous books. You can have those on sale about now as well. So you might probably have wanted to already get those scheduled, maybe do some promotional advertising with those. But it's also good to, get some new readers into your series if this is going to be another book in the same series. So, get that stuff. Make sure you have that all going.
Okay. So that wasn't too much. So now you're not going to get 2 weeks break. Now you're only going to get 1 week break. And
we're on the countdown now.
Yeah. 6 weeks ahead of launch. So here, this is a time to do something a bit different. Well, it's not unique in the sense that it's not something you never heard about before, but it's basically like an exclusive bonus. So you set it up as a release day contest. There is a million ways you can do this. But basically, the main idea of this is, of course, that you're going to create a deadline, meaning that people need to take action now, because if they don't, they're going to miss out. That's what you're playing on here, basically, to get people to pre-order the book, because if you don't, you're going to miss out on this very awesome bonus that you're going to get. And you can only get this bonus here and now. So once the bonus goes away, it's gone forever. So this has to be something that you're creating specifically for this book launch, and that you're not going to offer anywhere else afterwards. So you create something, and you create an opt-in form for it, meaning that people will have to deliver their email address to you so that you can communicate with them. And then, of course, the idea is that on one hand, they should be more than willing to give you their email address because they are showing interest in the bonus here that you're offering. But on the other hand, it then gives you the possibility to email them and not only tell them about the bonus and who won it, if it's like a contest, or if everybody gets it, then of course later on you have to be able to email them with the actual bonus itself. But it also gives you the possibility to email these people once the book launches and tell them, okay, it's now available, which is quite nice.
Yes, definitely. Very good. Definitely a good way to get people on your mailing list, as well as get some more excitement going.
Yes, and I should also mention, in terms of ideas for what can you do as an exclusive bonus later this year, later in 2020, Autumn and I should be releasing a free course for you. And in that course, there will actually be some ideas about this particular point, about how you can run contests, but also what kind of ideas could you, or what kind of things could you offer as a prize. But the main point here for right now that I want you to take away is please, please, please help yourself by making sure it's something that you can deliver electronically.
Yes.
You don't want to be shipping something.
No, maybe if you run one free book somewhere as a grand prize, but you don't want to do that for a whole bunch of people. It's much more exciting if everyone at least gets one thing, even if there's a grand prize. And I do want to make sure that you make it very clear in your rules that it has nothing to do with reviews. Amazon has very strict rules that you cannot buy giveaways. Nothing can be done. You can never give a reviewer a prize or a payment. So make sure it's clear that it is literally for buying the book and supporting you, but never give anyone anything for actually leaving you a review other than a thank you, because everything else, if Amazon finds out, you're up the creek without a paddle, as they like to say.
Yeah, that's correct. But it even goes further than that, because actually you cannot also run an exclusive bonus where you're demanding people to buy the book either. That's not allowed either.
True. That's very true.
So the only thing you can do is and this is what we're going to talk about in this free course later in the year. Once we release it, then we're going to talk you through exactly how to do this. Mm-hmm. But the main idea is that you can say your chances of winning is significantly higher if you buy the book. Which means that you could tell them, for example, so to win this prize, you need to tell me the first word in chapter 20.
Right. Those are always
and obviously
good.
You can guess. You can say, I think it's the. And fine. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe you're right. But if you buy the book, you probably have a better chance of winning. Right?
That's very true.
So that's how you can do it. But you cannot force them to buy the book. It cannot be like you can only enter this contest if you buy the book. That's not allowed.
Right. Very good tip.
So we should be clear about that. But we're going to explain that much more in the course later this year. So let's move on.
Okay. Oh, where were we? Were we still on 6 weeks?
Yes, if you have more for that bracket. Otherwise, we can move on to 5.
I think we're on 5. I think we're good.
Cool.
All right.
So you already added the book to your own website previously. And what I really like, and this one is then not something necessarily that everybody can do, but I can because I have Autumn.
So if you have your own version,
if you have your own version of Autumn out there, then you can do this too. but it's really nice if you could put at this point in time on your own website so that people can purchase directly from you here on the website.
This is such a cool tip because it gets me so excited because I guess computer geek gurus runs in my family. You get to sell the book directly to readers, get 100% of the profit, and for the people buying from you, they get to get it early. And it's just like win-win. Everyone's winning. I think my only warning is do check with your state laws. You might need a business license if you're selling on your own website. So big tip there. Otherwise, I just think it's so exciting. You get your own little bookstore and readers are getting it early. And yes, you might lose sales off of Amazon, but readers are getting your book early. So this is a good thing.
Yes, it is. And I think, of course, unless you are enrolled in Kindle Unlimited and you're on pre-order, then this is a no-go because then you are breaking the terms of service. But if you're not in Kindle Unlimited or any exclusivity programs, so that was hard to say. But if you're not in any such programs, then this is where I would then schedule an email already now to go out 10 days before the release date. Mm-hmm. And here in that email, tell your email subscribers that you can get the book already now if you buy it directly from this link. Yep. So then you can point out to them how it actually supports you, as Autumn was just explaining, because you don't have to give a cut of the royalties to sites like Amazon. So basically you're telling them, hey, a surprise, you can get the book already now 10 days before everybody else. And you're going to help me out by making sure that I get all the royalties, which your readers should be interested in.
Absolutely.
So that's a win-win.
Yeah. And it's, like I said, it's fun and it's not too much coding, but you definitely have to check it out. So that's all you have to do. Again, especially the first time through, it's a little bit to set up. So that's enough for your 5 weeks out, unless you have some spare time and, you closer you get to launch, the more things are going to take your time, and the more you're going to get tired. So the more spare time, if you want to make some images, start gathering stuff for social media posts, because the day before you release, you're going to be wanting to put up a whole bunch of different images, different quotes, different reviews as they come in. You want to make sure you have all that stuff together. So make yourself an electronic file and just dump images and ideas and stuff into it, so that when you go to grab it, you have a whole bunch of stuff already there, and you're not searching the web and getting frustrated because you just want to get it done now.
Yes. Yeah, so let's move on.
Right.
4 weeks ahead of launch, so a month out now. And, this is basically where you can, for once, do your future self a favor. Because normally it happens so that your past self is an asshole. Isn't that right?
It's true.
Yeah, because isn't it so that your past self is always the one who thinks, yeah, I can do that later. And then your future self is like, why the hell did my past self not take care of this?
Yes. Very
That's
true.
how it always worked, right? So now you can flip that around and make your future self happy about the past self.
That's right.
So schedule an email again now to go out to your email list 7 days before the release date. And here you are going to tell them about that exclusive bonus that we just created. And you're also going to tell them that this amazing book is available for pre-order.
Excellent. That's always useful. And again, you still want to make sure you're posting about your book out on social media, and again, get things organized, get things together, get quotes together as well. Just make sure you have a whole bunch of stuff to share, so that you have it all ready at your fingertips, so that your future self is so happy with you for having, That's a good way to put it. You're organized, because it's so much easier than trying to look for passages during release week. You want to sit there and celebrate release week, not go, I need to come up with 20 posts today.
Indeed, yeah. And to clarify, so you created the bonus itself 6 weeks ahead of launch, and now we are at 4 weeks ahead of launch, and I'm telling you to schedule an email only 7 days before launch. So basically, why was it that we didn't just email people 6 weeks ahead of launch as soon as we created the exclusive bonus? And this is basically the reason for that we don't email them, is that we want to narrow the time window where they actually have the ability to get their hands on this bonus. Because the way people work and the way this goes, and it is every single time without a fault, it is everybody only do what they need to do in the last second before the deadline expires. And that's just the way it is.
It is.
If you don't believe me, fine, but that's the way it is.
If you don't believe us, go onto our Facebook group and find the 4 Horsemen of Procrastination.
Yes. So that's why you're only giving them a 7-day window, and you're saying, by the end of this week, this is going to go away in a puff of smoke, and it's going to be gone forever. So they have to take action now. It's not like if you email them and say, well, sometimes within the next 6 weeks, you need to look at this, they will forget about it and not do it. So that's why.
That's very true.
Okay.
All right. So we're on to 3 weeks.
3 weeks now, yes.
All right. So now's a good time. You should be getting back messages from your ARC team if they were looking. Hopefully they were not doing content edits, because that should have been beta readers probably 6 months ago. So hopefully there's just some typos. There's going to be typos. Trust me, there's always typos. You want to make sure you've gathered those, you fix them, and you don't upload. Every time someone gives you a typo, don't upload a final version. Save them, fix them all in a draft, so that as you get closer, I think, Amazon's 3 days you can't upload anything prior to launch. So when you're in that window right now, you still have 3 weeks. Keep gathering them, but make sure you're fixing them on a master manuscript, so that you will be ready to upload it once you have all of them back.
Yeah. Amen. That's it. Yeah. So once you have all the information back, you update your files and upload the final version once you're ready.
All right.
So we can move to 2 weeks ahead of launch.
Woohoo!
So this is where I really like to start collecting keywords for the future Amazon ads that are going to run towards this book. So basically start building up the list of keywords.
Sounds good.
And our preferred tool for this is Publisher Rocket.
Yes.
That's an amazing piece of software. And way back when in episode 11. Imagine that's a long time ago. But back then I talked about Publisher Rocket in that episode. And then again in episode 32, we had Dave Chesson. He's the creator of Publisher Rocket. We had him on to talk about what you can do with Publisher Rocket. And it is one of my favorite tools. So
oh, yes.
We'll include a link to Publisher Rocket in the show notes so you can check it out there if you want.
We don't, affiliate. We're not even affiliate with them, but we don't push too many tools.
We are.
We are. Oh, we are. Yeah, I forgot about that. All right. So yes, we are. You know these things more than you keep it organized, but it's we don't share too many tools that this is a really great one, but Publisher Rocket is a really great one. And I will also say a huge shout out, not that I think he listens to our show, but Brian Cohen. I just took his 5-day AMS Edge challenge, and it was a ton of fun, and I learned stuff, and he had some great tips for finding keywords and categories and stuff as well. And he also mentioned Publisher's Rocket. So those are fun things. If you join up with one of his challenges, you'll learn some great tips for getting more keywords as well.
Yeah. Okay. 1 week ahead of launch. So we're getting there now.
Yes, we are.
1 week to go.
It's getting exciting.
Yeah. So this is where I'll send another email to our list. And again, the purpose of this email is to build anticipation. So this could be the time where you're now using an extract of the actual book, or perhaps you could also email the entire first chapter to people with a to be continued at the end of it. And once again, yes, you guessed it, don't forget to include links to the pre-order.
Absolutely. I do this for my readers, especially because, I'm writing at least 40 chapter books. I will give away the first 3 chapters with links at the end of even the 3 chapters of where to go get the pre-order. And I give that to all my readers on my mailing list.
Yeah. And now that you are inside your emailing software and doing emails anyway, then schedule an email as well to go out to your list at 6 a.m. on launch day with the details about the book and all the purchase links as well.
Excellent. That's getting close. And so definitely at this point, it's probably looking at we're at 1 week launch. So you should have your final manuscript cleaned up and ready to upload your final version to the channels, because if you wait too close to launch, again, that 3-day window for Amazon, after that you can't touch your book file, and if you haven't uploaded your final version, guess what? They're going to get the not final version. So give yourself a few days and a deep breath and get your final book up there.
Yeah, hopefully you've already done it by now, but at least at this point, this is the latest point
this
in
is
time where you need to have it done.
The original definition of a deadline is a line you do not cross on pain of death. This is your deadline. Get your book up there.
Yeah. Okay, so we're heading into the final stretch here. 3 days ahead of launch. There's only a few things that I do here. So basically logging into Amazon Author Central to basically claim your book there. So there's a tab in Author Central called Book Tab, and you click Add More Books there. Find your search for your name, find the book that you're publishing, and click Add It, and then it'll be visible on your author page on Amazon. So I'll do that, and the same thing if you have a book author profile on BookBub, then go there and claim the book there as well.
Yes, and if you haven't done it on Goodreads by now, make sure you have.
Goodreads, yes. And with BookBub, do update all the store links on your profile there, because that will automatically trigger BookBub to send out a new release alert to your BookBub followers, there's no reason not to do that.
That's very true. All right, we're really close to launch. So right before launch, don't forget, this is where you're going to check for reviews. You're going to make sure you just create a reminder. So you go and you're going to check for some reviews coming up so that you can look for them. You're going to actually use the good ones, the 5 stars and stuff. You want to use those for your tips. But I know you have some tips, don't you, for if you get any bad reviews, right?
Well, the tip is basically to make sure that you check that the bad reviews is within terms of service. So if somebody starts complaining about things that are not within terms of service, which to be honest, we're going to cover much more in the free course, so maybe that's too much detail to go into here, but make a long story short, just to say that there are ways in which you can get Amazon to remove a bad review. But I think all the details of that is not really related to launching. So maybe we can come back to that in the free course later this year. And I'm going to explain it in detail there.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah. So all I would do here one day ahead of launch is just send out an email to your list to say, hey, it's coming tomorrow. And remind them as well that this is now the last chance to get that exclusive pre-order bonus.
Excellent.
Tomorrow, it's gone.
That's a good tip.
And this is probably the place where you're going to get most people.
Yeah, it's pretty. They always wait for the last minute.
Yes.
But then launch day. Yes, exciting. All right. First, you're going to wake up there, and you're going to toast yourself with a mimosa. And
yes.
Celebrate. Don't forget to celebrate. This is a big, big day. No matter how many books you launch, it's always exciting to launch a book. So, but also, hopefully you already had it scheduled, but email your launch team, because your ARC team, this was the reason you gave away all those free copies. It was helpful to get the typos. Admittedly, they have saved my butt on more than one occasion, including a very careful reader who's like, didn't you mean this guy and not that one?
Oh, can I tell you, by the way, there was once as well, the one of the ARC team members came back to me and said, so why is half of this chapter in this book twice?
Oh, no.
And I was like, what? And I went and checked. And then apparently, once I got the edited version back from the editor, for some reason, I can't remember what I had been doing, but I had been copying, pasting stuff for some reason. And I forgot to delete my old original first draft version. So it had my first draft version of half the chapter in there, together with the editor's corrected half chapter. And luckily, this ARC person caught it and told me about it so I could delete it. But it was like, Jesus, I mean, if the ARC team hadn't told me, I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah, you hug your ARC team members. They are lifesavers. Yes. But the reason that they're really there, and the reason you recruit them, and the reason you vet them as well, which is important, you shouldn't just let everyone in, especially if you've written a few books, is because on today, the day you book launch, you tell them, hey, it's time for you to do your job and say thank you and leave a review. That's sort of what the whole deal was. They get to leave an honest review. That's the important key. You're not asking them for a good review or a bad review. An honest review.
No, well, there's even a more important key here, because this is where you need to be really careful.
Yes.
And you also need to be careful how you are wording your email, because according to Amazon's, again, terms of service, you cannot give out an ARC copy and demand a review in return.
That's very
so
true.
The only thing you can do when you're wording your email here is that you can tell them how much you would appreciate it if they would want to leave an honest review on the book. Then it would really mean a lot to you. And then you can, of course, explain how reviews means a lot to the success of a book, and explain why it is important. Because most people actually, even though we as authors, we know why it's important, but a lot of readers don't.
No,
so you can explain that to them, and you can kindly ask them that it would be really nice if they would want to do it. But you cannot say, I gave you an ARC copy, now you need to give me a review. Right. Because if you do that, then you're breaking the terms of service.
Absolutely. A very good tip, because you don't want to piss off Amazon.
No, no.
It's where most of the book sales come from. So be nice to Amazon, follow their rules. And yes, the reason you got an ARC team together was hopefully to get, if you had 100-member team, if you get over 50, if you get like 75 reviews, that's fantastic.
Wow, that's a lot.
That would be a lot. But again, most of the time, you're not going to get 100% of people leaving reviews. Some people are going to be busy, and they're not all going to happen on the first day. Most of the time, if they come within the first week, that's great.
Yeah. We're going to talk more about this in the free course. So now that's basically all you need to do on launch day. So thankfully, because we've been doing so much work ahead of launch, there's not so much to do now. It's everything has been set up and everything is running. So that's nice. And then one day after launch, I would just go in and start activating Amazon ads.
Yes.
And if you want to do Facebook ads, then this is also the time where I would get those going. But that's basically it.
Yeah. And if you did do a pre-order sale price, you have to think about how many days you want to leave that going. but some people change it after one day, people leave it up for a week. But if you had a pre-order special discount, the book's live now. You might want to think about changing that.
Yeah, and of course that exclusive launch bonus thing that you did, this is also, of course, the time now where you need to disable all the sign-up forms for that and then start giving away the actual price.
Absolutely.
And now you'll be really happy that it was something electronic.
Yes, you could just hit send.
Yes. Okay, so 1 week after launch, I would then send out a thank you email to the ARC team. You're not asking for anything in this email at all. You're basically just thanking them for their involvement and what they've done for you. Because honestly, as we just said, these people are amazing.
Yes.
It helps so much. So send them a sincere thank you message. I think that's a nice touch.
Absolutely. I mean, the ARC team is often made up of your super fans, the ones that stick with you. I mean, I've had ones through like 6 book launches, and you can't pay these people enough to to be there and supportive. And often, a lot of them just are happy to be part of the team. So thank them. That's all you can do.
Okay, 2 weeks after launch, I would just at this point go and check out your Goodreads account if you have one, and just see if the book has accumulated enough reviews on it. And if it has, then you can consider running a Goodreads giveaway if you want. And if there's not enough reviews, then maybe come back and check again later. The one thing I do like about these Goodreads giveaways, even though they did crank up the prices for these a while back,
unfortunately.
But what I do like though is that it has this sort of social amplification method or trigger in it, that so once somebody enter the giveaway, it automatically has the book added to their want to read shelf, but it also creates a story in the newsfeed for all their friends and followers to see.
Yes.
So I do think that's quite nice, but of course for you to evaluate if you think it's worth the money or not, but it might be.
Absolutely. I think they're exciting and fantastic. I was very disappointed when they raised the price as high as they did, but no, we won't go there.
No. Okay, 3 weeks after launch, it's now time for another email to your list, and this time it is also a thank you email.
Yes.
And I think it's quite good to talk a bit about how the launch has gone so far. And you could possibly include a screenshot of the Amazon review stats or something like that, maybe the sales ranking, I don't know, something. Because it could also be, you could also do a screenshot shot of or quote some good reviews or something. The point is just to give them some sort of social proof, because there will be some people on your list, and I'm also going to talk more about this in the free course, but for whatever reason, a third of your list never buys anything. I don't know why they're on the list, but this is just the case. And so by giving some of these people some social proof that other people are actually liking the books, that sometimes pushes some of them over the edge, and then they'll buy the book. So it's good to collect those extra sales there. Yes,
very true. And I will say it's amazing how many people who are on your list, and maybe they just don't read every episode, read everything, email that you send them. But there's times that they'll be like 6 months, almost a year later, like, oh, you published a book. So it definitely does not hurt, even though you've sent all these emails of pre-ordering and everything else. Say one more time, by the way, it's live. Thank you for going and buying it. And if you haven't, these are some of the early reviews. These are some of the things people have said, and you can go still pick up a copy.
Yep. Okay, should we move on now?
Yes.
4 weeks after launch, so we're almost there now.
Yeah, and now people are seeing why there's after launch steps.
Yes. This is just a small little trick that I wanted to share. So if you send your ARC team another short email, and you can just thank them once again for all the help, that's never any harm to thank people a lot. But then while you're doing that, also ask them if they read any of your other books, and maybe they forgot to leave a review.
Ooh, that's a good tip.
So this is, it's just like a short little smart trick there to maybe collect some more reviews for some of your other books.
Oh, that's exciting. Very excellent tip. Because, reviews are wonderful. I've noticed that, as my series goes on, you would think the reviews would go up, but they seem to go down, the numbers of them. Yeah. So, good tip.
Okay, 5 weeks after launch, this is the final one, and this is basically similar to the week before, but this time you are emailing the rest of your list, so not the art team, but the rest of the list, and basically ask them what they thought about the book. And then this gives you an excuse to mention the importance of reviews, and then see if you can secure some additional reviews this way.
Which is excellent. A good tip. And I will say, we haven't kind of mentioned it, but during all of this launch time, you should hopefully have still been using some of those information and images and reviews that you've gathered, and you've been posting on social media as well. So make sure that you've done that. And also make sure if you happen to have set your book up with some book-specific hashtags, which is definitely a trick I like doing, and I even have a book hashtag section now in the back of my book. Make sure you're searching for people to see if they have been at all sharing your book hashtags, and make sure you're retweeting, reposting, whatever platform you're on, the re in front of it, and, thanking people for sharing some of the stuff about your book.
Yeah, so that was a ton of stuff around book launches, and basically this is the process that Autumn and I more or less go through when we launch a book. Sometimes we tweak a few steps here and there, change things around a bit maybe sometimes, but overall this is the framework. And I know that there was quite a lot, maybe we gave you a few ideas here and there that you took note of, but also if it was sort of an overload of information, then in the free course, again, that we're going to do later this year for you, we will also have some information downloads in there where you can basically get the entire process laid out for you and explained. So you can look forward to that. But at least in the meantime, we just talk you through the entire thing.
Yeah. And so if you're launching books, good luck to you this summer. It is an exciting time to start reading. And we'll look forward to seeing what new books are coming out.
All right, so next Monday we are talking about something that could be mistaken for a show about fishing or even boxing, but that's the hook, the opening hook.
If you like what you just heard, there's a few things you can do to support the Writing Fantasy podcast. Please tell a fellow author about the show and visit us at Apple Podcast and leave a rating and review. You can also join Autumn and Jesper on patreon.com/AmWritingFantasy. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get awesome rewards and keep the Writing Fantasy podcast going. Stay safe out there and see you next Monday.